All right, so we're going to get started. So today's webinar, we're talking about Microsoft Teams. So first and foremost, everyone here at NST, including myself, is hoping that everybody is safe, first of all, healthy, hoping to be able to work somewhat productively from home. We're hoping that this webinar on Microsoft Teams is going to help you. We've been using Microsoft Teams for about 2 years now, and we use it every day. It's an essential part of our business, especially now that we're all working remotely. It's been critical for us, and we're hoping that you guys can see the value in it as well. And we're going to get started. So let me bring up my Teams. So first of all, Microsoft Teams, right, is a desktop app. It is a mobile app, and it can be accessed from the web as well. So no matter where you are, it is accessible. So that is the best part about it, because if you are not in the office, if you're on the road like I am a lot, I have the mobile app on and it works very, very well. Let me just check one thing. So Mike is going to be my test today. So I just want to make sure, Mike, can you hear me okay? I just see some people saying that they can't hear me. Okay, so Mike's a good example. So I'm going to use Mike as my test today. So first, Microsoft Teams, right? So this is what it looks like, right? It's typically purple in color. You can download the desktop app, like I mentioned. You can access it from your Office 365 website, and you can have the mobile app. So there are lots of different things that we can use. And we're going to start by showing you the different sides on the left here. So the one you're going to see most people using every single day is the chat feature. So you can see Anthony and Mike chatting back and forth between myself and them. These are, think of them as text messages. So what this is an individual text message between Mike and I, and nobody else can see these besides Mike and myself. And the good thing about these is that Mike will get a pop-up on his computer when he does get a new message. So I am going, if I can type, I am going to send Mike a message. So the good thing about this, right, is I can format the text, right? I can change the format. I can make it important. I can add a file, right? So this is important when you just want to attach a file to Mike and send, hey, look, can you take a look at the spreadsheet? Can you take a look at this PDF? I can use different emojis if I want to send Mike a smiley face. I can have GIFs, right? So Microsoft's put all these GIFs in there. All right, so here are all the GIFs that I have to do with yeah. We also have stickers. So stickers are here as well. And there's stream for video. So once I send Mike a message, Mike is gonna pop up. It's gonna pop up on his machine, and Mike, you can see with the bubbles, is typing back to me. So that's great. Okay. So think of these as, and the one thing you have to think about with this is that when you think about all of those emails that you get over the course of a day, hey Matt, can you check out this invoice? Hey Matt, this customer called you, wants you to call you back. Bob Jones is on the phone. All of those emails that you get, hey, what are we having for lunch? All of those emails that you get, they just flood and fill up your inbox, right? So what you find is once you move to Microsoft Teams, all of those quick hits get answered very, very quickly. If you think about the response time on a text message, the average time that it takes somebody to respond to a text message on your cell phone is usually about 2 minutes, right? Teams is not as fast, but again, it is a quick hit. It is, hey, can we have this conversation? Can you look into this? All of these can go back and forth and can get responses very quickly, especially when you're not in the office. So if somebody's not in the office and they send you a team message, you are also going to get it on your phone. The mobile app just looks directly exactly like the desktop app, and the web app also looks like it. And the one really good thing about the mobile app and the desktop app is that it actually knows when you are, which version you're using. So right now I am using the desktop app, right, which is great. So when I get notifications, they are not popping up on my phone right now. But if I was to switch to my phone, it knows that I am now using the mobile app, so Restary doesn't pop up on my desktop. But yet when I go back to my desktop app, it all syncs back together. And if you're familiar with, and if you used Skype in the past, you'll notice that sometimes with Skype, there was a lag. It wouldn't always update. This is constantly updating. It's always in sync between all of the different apps. Okay, so so this is just the chatting feature. So at NST, right, so we have a VoIP system, and we can make phone calls just like we're all remote. What you'll find is that we are typically, if I am going to call Mike about anything, I am now doing it over Teams, and it is just an audio call. So just an audio call will basically send a call to Mike. Mike will then answer the phone, and we can have a voice chat over Teams. We can do the same thing with video. I'm going to check with Mike. Mike, I'm going to show you on video. So if I do a video call with Mike, let's see if Mike answers. And there's Mike. Hey, wave Mike. Sorry, Mike. Sorry to put you on the spot. Thanks, Mike. So that's Mike, right? So again, you can see how crystal clear the voice was, how easy it was to make that phone call. And, you know, the one thing we have to think about in today's time, right, is that we want to stay in touch with everybody. All right. So, you know, we're all working from home. We're all working from different spots. We don't see each other every day. We don't have that same social interaction that we have every day. So this is definitely one way to keep in contact with coworkers and employees and employers to make sure that we are all staying in that social. So we're all staying collaborative. We're all having those conversations by the water cooler, only they're not over the water cooler anymore. They're over Teams. Okay, so those are your typical chat features that you have with Mike. Okay. Again, video and audio is there as well. I'm going to show you the other activities you have here on the left. The really good thing about this that I find is that it integrates with your Outlook calendar, right? So I'm going to bring up my Outlook calendar. Let me go back a week. So this is my Outlook calendar. So everything that I have in my Outlook calendar also shows up on my Teams calendar. So I'm able to basically, you know, create a new meeting right from here. And that you'll find is that once you start using Teams, you'll be in Teams a lot more. So when somebody sends you a team message saying, hey, are you free on Thursday at 11:30, instead of going back and looking at Outlook, you can do it right from here. You can also schedule the meeting right from here. I can schedule a meeting. I can schedule a meeting right now. So I can schedule a meeting between Mike and I right now should I want to. Okay. Calls. So what this will bring up is what's almost like a phone system. It'll bring up all the people inside your organization who have access to Teams, right? And you can, let me go back to one thing I'll show you here, which I forgot. So here in the chats, it'll show you your most recent chats, but you can also organize your contacts the way you like. So I have a couple of favorites up here. I have management here, and I have my team down here, right? So I've kind of organized it that way. When you look at your call log, right, you'll see the same exact thing. It will be organized the same exact way you have it. My management, my team, okay? Your contacts, it will list all your contacts from Outlook. If I look at history, you'll see my call between Mike and I. I talked to Tom a little earlier. I talked to Dave. I talked to Jess. You can see all these calls I had. And again, you can see all of the calls that we do on a day-to-day basis across teams, right? As opposed to the traditional phone. If I was to call Mike and Mike did not pick up, I do have the option of leaving him a voicemail. So here I can check voicemail should I like. Okay. Files. So what these are any files that you have stored in your Office 365 SharePoint or your Office 365 OneDrive. So again, these are another quick way to get access to data. The one thing that Microsoft is doing with Teams that you'll find is they're putting a lot of development time and money into it because they're looking at this as one single pane of glass for everybody to use to get access to their data across all Microsoft applications. So the really good thing about this, right, is that if I was to open up any one of these documents, you'll see it actually will open up inside of Teams. So this is a Word doc that I got all about Microsoft Teams, and it is opening up in Word. And I can actually edit it here in Word, should I want. Okay. And it will save automatically. I have pretty much all the same functionality I have inside of Word. I have it up here. And again, the reason why Microsoft is doing this is because they want to give you the ability to use Teams to access all data, all applications without actually having to leave the program. Okay. The next thing I'm going to show you, right, is actually Teams, right? So what happens is, as soon as I format this a little bit. Okay. So we have broken up our company into different teams. Okay. And these are different departments inside of our organization. So you'll see we have the project team, Sean's team, we have the web team, the security team with James, the finance team with Tom, right? So all these different teams, right? And you can be part of one team or you can be part of multiple teams, as you can see here. You will only see the teams that you are part of. So right now we're looking at our sales and marketing team. It's made up of Brian, myself, Kenny, and so on and so forth. And the good thing, the reason why I wanted to pull up this one is because this is just a collaborative message going back and forth between our team, okay? So the next thing inside of Teams, you'll see is individual, these are called channels, okay? And you can create multiple channels. So if I want to create a channel, and if I want to call it the everything that we love to hear about, so now it's created another channel, okay? And the good thing what Microsoft wants to do with channels is that typically we always put in a general channel that can be talked about anything. But when you create a channel, you typically want, all of the correspondence in this channel to be about whatever the name of the channel is. Our project team uses this constantly. So for every open project that they are currently working on for the week, they have a channel for. And they are pretty disciplined about only talking about about that particular project in that channel. So when you think about this, and coming back here, you can see on this particular correspondence, there are 10 replies, right? So the one thing that people always ask me is, hey, Matt, if I start getting chat messages and I keep getting these pop-ups from individual people, and then I open up Teams and people start talking about different things and I keep seeing these pop-ups, am I going to be able to get any work done? So the good thing about it is that when you are doing individual chats, right, yes, you are going to get that pop-up because that's an individual chat between Mike and myself. So when Mike sends me an email, I am going to get that little pop-up down at the corner of my screen as Mike says such and such. When you come over to the Teams, right, you can see that there are 10 replies between myself, Brian, and Kenny. And I have not opened up or looked at any of them, right? I do have that choice to. So if I do click on this, now I can see all of that correspondence going back and forth, right? However, right, I do not want to get a pop-up every time Kenny says something or Brian says something or go back and forth if Anthony chimes in here. I don't want to get that, right? So the good thing is that once you're inside of Teams, right, if I do want to tag somebody on this conversation, I can do this, right? So now once I tag Anthony in here, I have tagged you, right? Now Anthony is going to get that pop-up, right, that he's been tagged on this particular conversation. I can also tag the entire group. So once I do this, now anybody that's inside this group will also get that little pop-up that says, hey, Matt's looking for something, right? So this is a really good way for collaboration, right? For you to be able to, stay in contact with departments, with different team members. I've seen this used numerous ways. We typically like to deploy it when we do it by department, but I've seen people do it by projects. I've seen people do it by customers. I've seen people do it by client base. So there are many different ways that you can set this up. And again, the goal being is collaborative, right? And then you can see Anthony writing back that he's been tagged, right? You have all the quick responses that you typically have with text messages now, right? The thumbs up, the heart, the smiley face. So again, a really good way for collaboration between your department. So as I was saying earlier, Microsoft definitely wants to look at this as one single point of glass. They don't want you to have to leave to go to get other applications. So they built in these tabs up on top, okay? So what you're looking at is we're looking at the general channel, the post tab, but you see we've added some other tabs up on here, right? So the first thing we'll look at is files, okay? I'm going to flip over to the next one. So what this is now looking at our SharePoint. So every time you create a team, right, it actually creates a SharePoint site on the back end in Office 365 where you can store documents. So this is a document structure, right, that I do not need a VPN connection for. I do not need a LogMeIn connection for. I can access this through Microsoft Teams, through a web browser, and I can have access to the data. The good thing about this is that it's really fast, right? And you can see how quickly that comes up with all these different folders, right? The other thing, if I show you quickly, I'm just going to bring this over, is that I have access to this inside of my Windows Explorer as well. Let me just close some of these windows. So what we were looking at is this folder structure. So this folder structure I have access to inside of Windows Explorer. And you can see, again, just how fast it is. So there is a little bit of hesitation when people start talking about SharePoint because of the fact that typically documents were only able to be accessed over the web. Now we can access them through Windows Explorer and making it very quick. So again, the good thing about Microsoft Teams is that it gives you this tab open in SharePoint so that, again, I do not have to go to Windows Explorer. I don't have to go anywhere to get access to that data. So the next application that we're going to look at quickly that we have access to is Planner, right? So Planner, right, basically allows us to assign tasks, and these are typically long-term goals to individual people. And again, the beauty about this is that we have the ability to access the Office 365 app Planner inside of Teams. We're going to do a different webinar on Planner and To Do, But again, the beauty about this is I wanted to show you that, again, that Microsoft Teams is giving you the ability to access all of these applications inside of Teams. The other one that we have set up, just to show you quickly, another app we have set up inside here is a product creation. So this allows us to actually create a product. So when HP comes out with a new laptop SKU that we don't have set up in our system yet, somebody can come in here and say, hey, I want to set up a new product. They can come up here, and we've set up basically a process to say, okay, what's the part number, what's the description, what's the price, who's the reseller, and all this information, once they hit submit, will go to the person inside our company that creates part numbers. And that person will then create the part number, and the person who submitted the request will get an email saying that the part number has been created. This product for inside the Office 365 is called Microsoft Flow, and we've used this and put it in here again in Teams to give our salespeople the ability to create part numbers inside of Teams. So flowing back to the top here. So again, the goal here, right, is to show you collaboration, right? To show you how we can, here's Mike telling me he's going to take a call, which is fabulous. And to be able to communicate with each other quickly while we're all working remotely. Again, you'll find that from our side, we've used this internally, like I said, for about 2 years now. Right after they announced the product was being released and that Skype was eventually going away, we made the switch. And it's as you can see by all the chats, it is a big piece of our organization. One thing I did forget to mention as well is these individual chats, just like a text message. So if I'm texting my brother, right, I can have that individual text. But if I want to do multiple texts, so this is a conversation between Brian, Kenny, and Will, I have the ability to do that as well. So just like you can have group text, you can have group chats here inside of Teams. The one thing which I will caution you on, right, is if I come back to Teams here, right, we typically, when this piece down here that says join or create a team, you'll find that we have mostly taken this piece away from organizations. And the reason for this is because we find two things. Number one is we find that people will create their own teams and they may leave somebody out on accident or sometimes somebody out on purpose, right? So that may be one thing that we try and take away. The other thing is when people create their own team, they don't realize that it actually creates an Office 365 SharePoint site and group on the back end. So we do like to make sure that when we are creating teams that have the correct permissions, that have the correct settings. The other thing is with channels. So just like I created this coronavirus channel, this actually does create a folder in SharePoint on the back end. So we want to look and make sure that if anybody that can create channels should have the ability to create folders. We have seen some organizations where they have started to use this and they have created their own teams and they have come back to us and said, hey, look, it's a little bit messy right now. We want to start to clean it up. And that's where we came back in and worked with them on creating the proper groups, making sure people are in the correct team and that they all had access to the correct data. Again, you can be part of one team or you can be part of multiple teams. So again, in the world that we're living in now, the fact that we are working remotely and that we have to stay in touch with everybody and that we have to work collaboratively, this is a fantastic tool. The fact that, and the funny thing is I forgot to mention that for the most part, so long as you are on Office 365, you have this included. It is part of your subscription. So that is the really good thing about this is that your license, most 95% of the Microsoft Office 365 licenses include Teams with it. So it just needs to be set up. The one last piece I'll show you I will have to open up my email to show you this, so give me 1 second. I'm going to show you how to create calendar appointments using Microsoft Teams. There is an edit. Let me just bring over my calendar. Okay. So here's my Outlook calendar, right? So I am going to create an appointment, 11 o'clock tomorrow. Here's my appointment, okay? And I'm going to title it Test Teams Appointment. Okay, so the beauty about this, right, is that I have this button up here. I'm going to create some invites that I can create a Teams meeting. And what happens when I bring in this Teams meeting information in, right? So I get this join Teams meeting, and I get this call bridge and conference ID, okay? So the good thing about this is that this piece, right, is already included in your license. So what that means is we can have a meeting, just like I had with Mike, video call, audio call, set up a meeting where I can have multiple people join. And the one thing I forgot to mention a little earlier is that we have a couple of different department meetings every morning, and it's all done via Teams. It's all done via video. Everyone who signs on, just like if everyone's familiar with, with GoToMeeting and with Zoom and with Teams, everyone has their video. Everyone has some sort of either pods in their ear, or just like me, I have a big headset on. That is all built into your Teams licensing, right? This piece, right? This piece is the added piece that Microsoft will charge you because it is a phone number, and that Microsoft will charge you, I believe it's $5 per user. You do not have to have everybody set up. We typically only have a few people set up that have this ability. What this gives me the ability is to send out a meeting to outside my organization, to people who may or may not have Teams, but who want to dial into the conference or into the meeting. So that's what this gives them. Anybody can join the meeting via web browser. So if I send this meeting invite to somebody who is not using Microsoft Teams, but who is, they can then click on that link. It will then take them to a web browser, and they will be able to join the meeting from there. If they do have Microsoft Teams and are using it, then they will ask them, do they want to open up the meeting inside their Teams application? And you have the choice to do that or not. The next question I get a lot is, can I communicate via Teams with people outside my organization? And the answer to that question is yes. So long as they're using Skype or Teams, you can communicate with them. Typically from our side is we do not open that up by default, so we keep it internal. But if that is something that you are looking to communicate with your contacts, vendors, customers outside your organization, we can open up your Teams account to talk to individuals outside your organization. It's the same thing as just putting in their email address, and then you can have that communication with them. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to show everybody, but I think that's a real good start on Microsoft Teams. So from our side, if you are looking to get this set up, please just reach out to your NST account manager, and they will help you. It usually only takes us a few hours to get it set up on the back end. Doesn't take long. And we can have that set up, and you can start to use it. Again, one of the things that we do recommend is that you look at adding the video piece of it. Most laptops have the camera built in. We here at NST, anybody that is using a desktop, we actually went out and got a camera for them. you'll find that the video quality is excellent, and that it's really nice to have a conversation with people face to face. Every meeting that we have via Teams is actually done that way, where everybody typically signs in, turns on their video, and that's the way that we are communicating with each other in this new remote world that we're living in. Hopefully for not much longer, but we can all hope for that. With that being said, I want to thank you. We're going to do a couple more of these over the next couple of weeks. We're going to do one on SharePoint. We're going to do one on Planner, which happens to be one of my favorite topics because I am a planner. Planner is going to link with Microsoft To Do, which is another good application. And with that being said, again, if anybody has any questions, let me know. I see that there are some people who may have had an issue hearing me. If that is, this is being recorded, so I will make sure I get you the recording. But again, any questions, if we can help in any way, please let us know. We are here to help you. Please reach out. Mike, myself, Brian, Kenny, Will, we're all here to help. So I want to wish everybody a good afternoon. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. And look out for our next webinar, which will be on SharePoint. Everyone have a good day.